Hello everybody and welcome back to Planetside 2. I am 4040 and I am continuing my How to Do Planetside 2 Getting Started series, and in this episode we're going to be focusing on the medics. Now, as opposed to my first tutorial, which is just about setting up and getting your settings, from here on in I'm going to be going into the different classes that you can be in Planetside 2, and I'm going to start with the best one, in my opinion, that is going to get you the most certs and help you learn the game most, which is a medic. So, without further ado, we're going to go into the equipment tray thingy. There we go. Now, this is the combat medic. He is going to get you the most amount of certs in the entire game, and also I think this is the most efficient one to actually helping you learn the game, because you're not necessarily at the start have to be on the front lines. You're just behind them learning the ropes. Now, the medic is and can be quite an effective frontline fighter with a few add-ons. They start off with the assault rifle. That is their primary weapon, which have there, but they also have access to things like the submachine gun for extreme close range, and shotguns, which again for extreme close range. Now, medics not necessarily just meant to heal. If I go back, they're not meant to heal, as they've got some pretty potent weaponry and can equip themselves with C4 to be able to take on tanks, but that's probably going to be a little bit further on the game once you've actually decided that you're going to what direction you're going to take it. So, as in for spending certs to get you up and running as quickly as possible, to get you as an effective member of the team, my suggestion first is to go to the suit slot and pick yourself some nano weave armor. Now, you can also, I'd suggest, take flak armor if you're taking a lot of explosive damage, as flak armor gives you a armor. There we go. Reduces the amount of damage received from explosions by 15%, and that goes up per level. Nano weave armor, on the other hand, increases your health level. It increases your health at maximum rank by 250 health, giving you a max total of 750 health total. So you go from 1000 health all the way up to 1250 health. I'd suggest that you definitely put in nanoweave armor as opposed to flak, because nanoweave armor is works better with the combat medic's intrinsic abilities. Its intrinsic abilities are down here and with its magical applicator. The bigger health pool you have, the more health that you can give yourself, because not only can you heal other people, but you can heal yourself. Yes, that's right. So once you've put even just 1 point, as you can see at the basic level, a few points into either nanoweave or flak armor, you're going to be noticing that in firefights you're going to last a little bit longer, and possibly in a straight up firefight, depending on what range you're at, you're going to be able to take down your opponent if you end up in a one-on-one situation, especially if you're more experienced with the game with dealing with recoil. So, after you've got a couple of ranks of nanoweave, over 2 ranks you can actually survive a headshot from a sniper rifle at about medium range, which is almost max damage for a sniper rifle. So you're definitely not going to be able to be one-shotted, and as a healer, snipers do tend to pick you out. As a sniper, I would try and pick you out. Now, once you've got that, I would strongly suggest you put some certs into your ability slot and your medical applicator or medical gun. Now, I strongly suggest you put your medical gun up to level 3 as quickly as you can. It's relatively cheap to do this. Fact, it's cheaper than some of the other natural abilities of the other classes, and I'd strongly suggest in your ability slot pumping at least 11 certs into this ability, preferably after the healing gun. Out of the two, this one allows you to heal yourself and those around you. The more people around you to heal, the more quicker it drains, but this heals you as well. This, on the other hand, heals quicker than the area of effect, but only heals one person, which is the person you point at. But this can bring people back from the dead, which is good, because that's what you're there for. So once you've pumped some certs into your suit, so you've got a bit of armor, your ability, so you can heal those around you, and your medical applicator, you're pretty much up and running to be a fairly effective medic. You're not going to die straight away. Once you're in a fight, you're going to be able to heal those around you fairly effectively. So, after you've done that, I strongly suggest that you perhaps either pump a few certs into your gun, or pump some certs into your utility and grenades. Now you see here my utility is empty. You've got the choice. You've got a restoration kit, which if you slap it on yourself slowly gets you health. A medical kit, which again, slap it on yourself, fast generates health. Or C4, which expensive, 200 certs at the first level and 500 certs at the second level, allows you to effectively one-shot maxes or tanks if you find yourself frequently in situations where you manage to get behind the enemy lines, sneak up behind them. As a medic, you're not usually expected to do that, but if you do find yourself in those kind of situations, then feel free to slap that on the ass of a max who's not paying attention and blow him to Kingdom Come. It should get you a few more certs, but you really should be concentrating your certs on your suit, your ability, and your tool. So, once you've got these at the basic level, what you're going to want to do is have a look at your gun. I have the GR22, which is an advanced gun. What you start with is the NC1 Gauss rifle. Now, it's a fairly effective weapon, as all medic start weapons are medium or slightly long medium weapons. They're not designed for absolutely close quarter weapons, and they're not designed for long weapons. And weirdly, amongst all the classes, the medic class is the one whose weapons are fairly similar across the board. Now, once you have got yourself your weapon, you're going to want to, for 30 cert, put on a scope. Now, you've got a few choices with the scope. I'd strongly suggest of either going for a reflex ×1, night vision scope, or if you have it, a ×2 scope. Now, I, in this, don't have the option of a ×2 scope, and I really like the night vision scope. It allows me to very quickly identify who or what is around me in confused situations. So that's the gun I rock with, which is the DR22. Now, once you've got a scope on your basic weapon sorted out, you really want to have a good go with most of the weapons to find out how they pull and how their recoil works. So by aiming at this line here and aiming down the sights, spray, you notice that the recoil pattern is up and to the right, and without aiming, it's a wider recoil pattern but still up and to the right. So with this particular gun and most NC guns, if you fire but drag down and to the left, you're going to be able to keep on target and on sight, and that is true for every gun in the entire game. So it's always a good point, if you get yourself to one of these terminals here, the world terminal as I call them, you can go down to the VR training here and check out your gun, see what you like and how it works. Now, as I said, all medic weapons, start weapons, are medium, and all of them have a rather annoyingly high first shot multiplier, which means that that first shot there is going to bounce your weapon quite high up into the air. If I pull out the Gauss rifle here and resupply, I'll show you what I mean. So, you see that bounce there? And then it hardly moves for the other bullets. You see how the first bullet is clearly defined and the other bullets are kind of grouped together? That is your first shot multiplayer. At range, that's going to throw you off. So that's just something to keep an eye on for all of the weapons. So, first of all, we're going to go to the Value Sovereignty. Their primary weapon they have is the Pulsar VS1. Now, this is a low damage, good ranged weapon, and how you want to use this is you really want to keep the enemy at arm's reach. You don't want them to get too close with this weapon. It has a fairly low damage, it has a medium rate of fire, but it's better at medium ranges, so if you end up in a CQB situation, you either want to get out of that, or you want to make sure that the people who are on your side are protecting you. Now, if at all you decide that you want to change this weapon at all, I would strongly suggest swapping it out for the HV45. Now, the HV45 is a lot closer ranged gun. It still can do medium, but it can help you with your short range. Coupled with a night vision sight and a forward grip handle, this extremely fast firing weapon will be able to hopefully save your bacon when confronted with a light assault who suddenly nips around the corner. Of course, against anything heavy like a Max or a heavy assault who've got their shield up, you're probably not going to last long enough to be able to worry about what type of gun you have. The new conglomerate starter weapon, which is the NC1 Gauss rifle, has the longest range of all of the healer's weapons, but it is the most powerful. It has the lowest rate of fire, which is slow to fire, but has a very short reload speed. This gun is primarily designed for medium close ranges and has a good solid hit. It does have a fairly large recoil modifier, and if you want to shake up this weapon and you decide you want something to be able to deal with it, I strongly suggest that you go with the GR22. This is a fast firing weapon designed for medium and close ranges, incredibly fast rate of fire with an average reload speed. This weapon has managed to save my bacon quite a number of times. Coupled with a foregrip and a night vision scope, this weapon is going to be able to allow you to engage in close quarters and defend yourself if somebody sneaks up on you, while still being able to add some good down the range fire to help support your friends and allies. So, the last but definitely not least is the Terran Republic starting gun, the T1 Cycler. Now, this weapon is well known and quite loved for its extremely large ammo reserve compared to the other guns. It has the highest rate of fire out of all of the guns, but it has the longest reload time and it is the most inaccurate over range. This gun is designed to be a close range monster that's supposed to be able to mow down your enemies with a hailstorm of bullets. If you want to change it up a little bit and take something that's more specialised to just pure face melting close combatness, then you're going to want to go for the TAR. The TAR is a very fast firing assault rifle that's designed for a high rate of fire and has a cone of fire bonus for hip firing at close ranges. Again, if you need to defend yourself in close range, this is the baby that's going to suit you down to the ground. Now, if all else fails and you guys would like a weapon that's applicable to all medic classes as an assault rifle that would be available to everybody, I'd strongly suggest going for the NS11A. Now, the NS11A is primarily designed as a medium to long range weapon. It has only average damage and it has a very low rate of fire, which means this is not designed as a CQB weapon. This is designed to support long range weapons, but in battles where long range are appropriate, then this is the gun that's for you. The added bonus of buying an NS weapon is that if you buy this weapon with station cash, the weapon will be available for all of your classes and all of your types on the one particular account, which means that any NS weapon, in fact, so if you buy any of the NS PDWs, this assault rifle, their handguns, their quite a lot of NS weapons, they will all be available if you buy them for one of your characters, which means if you have multiple characters, you can get used to using the one gun and proficient at using the one gun, but as a warning, NS weapons tend to be slightly less good at their jobs than the faction-specific weapons, but this does allow you for flexibility, and if you prefer to get used to just one gun, I'd strongly advise the NS. Going back to your certs, the very last thing that we're going to want to talk about until we get into some strategy are the grenades. Now, we all start off as the frag grenade, and it's quite useful at providing a little bit of support. It doesn't cost much to resupply, and you're going to want to use it to rack up perhaps a couple of more kills. But as a medic, racking up kills isn't something that you're supposed to really be focusing on. You're going to want to focus on healing, and there are two grenades that help you out with this. One of them is called the Nanite Healing Grenade, which, if thrown on the ground near to you, will start providing all those in its radius with a boost to their healing amounts and will start bumping them back up. Or you've got the Nanite Revive Grenade. This will pick up any of your allies who are currently dead on the ground and restore them with 50% health, which all those new guys who haven't put many certs into their medical tool yet, this will pick your friends up with more health than if you'd already point your gun at them and revive them. I don't know why you'd want to buy this as opposed to pump the 400 certs that it is worth into your gun, but this is definitely a good solid option for the trooper who wants to perhaps think about where to go once they've got the basics nailed down. So, I suggest that you pump at least one cert into flak armor or nanoweave armor, at least 90 certs into your medic tool, 11 certs into your active ability, 30 certs into a restoration kit if you really want to. I would suggest that you don't really need to do that. 30 certs into a weapon scope for your particular gun. I'd strongly suggest a night vision for personal preference, but if you have a faction ×1 or ×2 sight, they're perfectly good as well. 400 certs into a nanite revival grenade is my suggestion, and 150 certs into your rank 5 medical tool after you've managed to buy all that lastly. The very last thing on the list of things I suggest you buy before going off is, if you want C4, this is probably the time to do it. For 200 certs, you can have an ability to be able to knock out a max if you can sneak up to it, or for another 400 certs on top of that, you have the option of being able to take out a tank, as long as you land 2 bricks onto it. And as you don't have the ability to fly, like a light assault, you might have a bit of trouble in this. So C4 really is only for the advanced players who decide that they really want to get stuck in and provide heavier supply to the rest of their teammates. Now, let's talk a little bit about strategy for our characters. First thing is the most absolute advanced thing that you need to have a think about is you need to pay attention to what is going on around you. If you get tunnel vision, you're not going to see when your friends and allies drop down around you dead. Remember, you're a healer and you're there to make sure they get back up. If you get focused on a firefight too much where there's lots of other people shooting too, you're going to end up with a team who dies around you and the last man standing. Keep an ear out for when people start shouting for a medic. Next, you want to take risks as a medic. Push forward, lead the charge. Remember, you can repair yourself, so you can dodge ahead to a next piece of cover, and then you can sort yourself out, providing some much needed fire support and or encouragement for other people to leave their base. Remember, if nobody pushes out from the spawn room, you're never going to capture any points and you're not going to do very well. Next, I strongly suggest not reviving allies who will immediately get killed. Those allies who have wandered out into a live firing lane and who've got no hope in hell of getting back to you, even if you res them, they all die immediately. To be honest, it's frustrating for them to have to keep coming back into, and for you, well, I put that down as basically light trolling. Next, try to keep your allies' health topped off. Remember, sometimes if you're thinking about whoring on certs, you might think, it actually pays me more to let my allies drop to the ground because I get more certs reviving them and healing them than I do healing them right now. Stop. That's a really bad way to think. If you keep your allies topped up, yes, your cert grinding may be a little bit less than you may have liked, but it keeps the fight going and eventually allows you to capture the point, thus earning you certs. Do not wait for allies to res if they are being slow. When you res somebody, feel free to wait 3, maybe 5 seconds if it's quiet. But if they haven't res within then, just walk away. Don't let them make them wait on you. There are always other people to heal. Remember, your active heal is useful for dropping heals on groups of allies as you move around the battlefield. Don't be afraid that if you see a group of allies who are involved in a firefight but you do not intend on staying with them as you run past, to give them a free heal. They're going to appreciate it and it'll get you a few more certs as you sprint past them. Pre-healing is also an effective counter to anticipating a drop in health in yourself or others. I especially suggest your own area of effect healing ability on yourself when running from one cover to another cover and there is a bullet storm happening in the middle. When the bullets are flying, turn it on and leg it. It will keep you topped off and it will give you a much needed health boost even if you don't need it at the time. Because of the very low time to kill ratio in this game, by the time you realise you're being shot, your shield and most of your health could have gone immediately, especially if you get hit with a sniper bullet in the head. If you keep this regen going, and you activate it as soon as you come out from behind a rock, you will have time, hopefully, to get to the next rock, and then provide healing support to those who followed you, and encouragement. Remember that funneling or stacking heals on allies in the line of fire is a great way to help your teammates. Remember, if somebody is in direct line of fire and several healers are healing that particular person, it will be very hard for the enemy to have to deal with them. Usually you do this to help a heavy assault with a resist shield when it is active. And for your information, a resist shield gives a 45 reduction on damage even if his shield has popped, as long as his shield is active. So healing somebody who's got a 45% reduction in damage is big and clever. You should always prioritise max units that are dead around you. Always, always, always. They're the big ones, they're the ones that cost points to your faction to spawn again. They're probably on a timer, as the guy just spawned it within a few minutes, and if he dies at your feet and you ignore him, it forces him to come back with a standard character. This will weaken your team's push, whereas if you prioritise all max units next to you, you should be able to then allow the engineers in the group that you're with be able to pick him off. Use revive grenades to revive allies in an area. If there is a lot of allies on the floor and you want to get them all up very quickly, feel free to use your revive grenades rather than doing them one at a time. It's a lot quicker and will earn you an absolute bucket of certs. But please note that they cannot revive maxes. You need to do that manually. And also, if you're in a big fight and there's a lot of people dying just outside of the spawn room in a corridor or some other such area, make use of any resupply consoles nearby to spawn as many of these revive grenades as you can. Spawn in a grenade, throw it, go back to the console. By the time you've come back, you'll have hopefully gained a whole load of extra certs and you'll be ready to throw a new grenade without ever having to put yourself in danger. Personally, I feel that medics are the #1 cert generating class, with engineers falling in as a close second. Now the reason being is as I said this already, is that the time to kill in the game is incredibly high. The number of players in a big battle is also incredibly large, meaning that there will be lots of bodies to pick up. The main way I suggest that you play a medic is when you fire the map up, you find a continent with the highest population density of your particular faction. Then, once you are on that continent, you want to find the highest density of fighting, the highest density of allies on one particular square where they're making a big push. Generally, when there's a faction making a big push, there's going to be a lot of your friends lying on the floor dead, which means more certs for you. Medics are always needed in this time of battle and are highly versatile, as not only can you heal your friends and stay in cover, but you can fulfill frontline duties, especially if you armour yourself up, provide yourself with a CQB gun, and then follow in just behind the heavy assaults. You can provide a much needed high rate of firepower with a little bit of C4 to back it up and throw down a little bit of hurt. Remember, if you're reviving somebody and people are screaming for heals, remember to turn on your area of effect while you deal with your particular buddy who's lying on the floor. This throws out some much needed heals and shuts them up for a while, and then once you finish reviving the person who's on the ground, you can turn around and look to see who's screaming for medical aid. They generally will be stood next to you, at which point you can turn off your area of effect and, if necessary, point your healing gun at them and carry on with your healing. And last but not least, I have a little pro tip for you guys. I call it the quick heal. Now, when using your medic gun on somebody who you need healing as quickly as possible, or perhaps somebody who's taking a lot of damage and you're trying to keep them on their feet as they fire back, what you want to do, as well as using your medical gun, especially if your Medicaid gun is not as high level as you might like it, turn on your area of effect healing. You will find you're able to heal this person extremely quickly, while you have both your area of effect healing him and your medigun. This should give you a greatly increased boost in healing power, and yes, they do stack. So 2 healers on one particular person with 2 medical guns and potentially 2 area of effects will end up healing everybody around you and keeping one person up against a withering world of fire, thus perhaps this person being able to close off a line of approach to your position, allowing your teammates to push forward. Well, I'd like to thank you for listening to this. I have been 4040. If you find this useful at all or informative, please hit the thumbs up and let me know. If you haven't found this useful or have any questions, hit the thumbs down or hit the thumbs up and leave me a comment. I try and get back to you. Unfortunately, Google Plus is a little bit bugged at the moment, so I apologise in advance if I don't reply to your comments. It probably means I haven't received any due to Google Plus being a bit iffy. And next time I'm going to be concentrating on the next highest priority that you want to have as a starter. If you don't like the idea of being a healer, then you may like the idea of being an engineer. In the meantime, stay safe, stay good, and have fun. Bye guys.